So, caught you.
Caught me. Caught me what?
Every afternoon between 1 and 3, I've noticed that you disappear for, inverted commas, research on napping.
Research. Very good research. Very fine research.
Let's talk napping, because in all seriousness, you've been a napper. You've been caught, and you'll be tried as a napper.
That's different to a rapper.
Very different to a rapper. So there's obviously there's benefits in napping, but there is some understanding of why we nap. Mm-hmm. There's some recent research into the importance of napping, and a lot of workplaces now are equipping their work areas with the facilities for people to nap.
Absolutely.
So tell us all about it.
Well, before I do, I'd love to tell you this story from way back, because I think I'm a bit of a prophet here. I'm,
Is it in dollars and cents profit?
Well, no, definitely not. I think I was doing napping before it was trendy
Popular.
and fashionable. So it's true. You're absolutely right. You look at a lot of the big companies now,
yes,
and they're all installing these nap pods or
yes,
sleep pods.
Yes.
The Googles, the Facebooks, or
the Woos.
So I guess the people that can afford it, right?
Yes.
So those that can afford it, that are seen as trendy, fashionable, the ones that have always been sort of at the forefront of workplace design and workplace architecture, employee-centric.
Yeah.
Think about the future of wellness, and think about wellness architecture. A lot of people design their buildings, they design their workspaces, and people are putting in areas where you can go and have a lunchtime sleep or an afternoon sleep, a little nap.
Yes.
So here it is, back to my student days. It's a long time ago. In my student days, I was working during my holidays, mm-hmm, and I worked for some pretty big chemical companies. And I was very bored because I didn't like my degree, absolutely hated my degree, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I didn't enjoy the assignments either. And they were typically 14 or 16 weeks on a chemical site doing really boring chemical engineering. And that's not really who I am, but it's who I thought I needed to be at the time. And you sort of a lot of people end up in careers because they've been given some advice.
Yes.
A teacher has pushed them in one direction, or
Yep,
they're just good at subjects, and that's what happened to me. So, cut a long story short, here I am. I'm at my assignment. I'm 16 weeks on site, and I find the schedule really tough because I've got to get up early, and students don't get up early. I've got to get up early at a time that is not natural for me. I've got to go along to work. I've got to be all formal, and I've got to pay attention for the whole day. And then I finish at 5, I go home, and it all starts again the next day. And I find this really tough.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the sort of person that sits in a dull, dreary office. And, at the time, these were very traditional offices with big groups of people.
Dreary people.
Very dull, dreary people in dull, dreary offices. So
in the UK.
In the UK with
home of the dull and dreary.
Dull, dreary weather. So there wasn't a lot in there to make me feel sparky and alive and full of energy like I do now. And so it would come to middle of the afternoon, and I would be in that energy slump, because what we know is that between 1 and 3 in the afternoon, you go through an energy slump.
We do.
Even if you eat really well and do all the great things that we suggest, you go through an energy slump. It's natural. It's part of the circadian rhythm in the body. So in the afternoon, I would get through, partway through that energy slump, and I would literally be falling asleep at my desk. So what I would do is I had one of those great big old-fashioned desks, with a big back, a big wooden desk, and I was lost behind it anyway. I would literally, middle of the afternoon, duck under the desk, make myself a little nest, and I would go to sleep. And
lucky you're smaller of stature.
That's it. I could hide
I couldn't
away.
do it.
Nobody used to know, and literally people would come in because I had an office, because again it was the time when everybody had offices.
Yes.
Couldn't do this if you're an open plan, but people would knock on the door and they'd come in, and I would lay there quiet as a mouse and have my little nap, and then I'd get back up and I'd sit at my desk feeling all refreshed and good. So I didn't know why that was good for me, but I always did it. I naturally had these afternoon naps, and I did it the whole time, this 3 months of my assignment for 3 years.
Yes.
So why is it good for you? It is good for you because what we know is, as I've just said, you do go through that energy slump. And so the body naturally has had its lunch and it's processing its lunch, so it needs a bit of time to process. Quite a lot of energy goes into that, processing thing. So we've got this processing going on, especially if you haven't eaten in the morning or, lunch is your
Just broken
first.
fast, yeah.
Yes, if you've just broken your fast, you've been doing your intermittent fasting, it's your first meal of the day, and you've given it some nice protein and lots of fat, it's going to take a bit of time to digest that. So it wants energy. So all of your energy is going to your digestion system. Hence, your brain's a bit deprived.
It's siesta time.
And it's siesta time.
Yes.
And, this is what people in a lot of the Mediterranean countries like Spain and Italy have always known. So we know it's good for you.
Yes.
And why is it good for you? It's good for you because it boosts your brain. So your brain gets a little nap and it feels really good. It helps with your job performance. I certainly found after my little nap, I could do a good few hours more work and I would feel great. Whereas if I hadn't had my nap, then I probably would have struggled for the rest of the afternoon.
Yep.
We see in studies that it helps the mood. So
okay.
there's not really a lot known about these short naps at the moment, but we know what the results are. So we know that it can boost your mood, we know it makes you more alert, and people who use napping, and we can explain why in a second, but people who use it really do say they feel much more alert after they've had a little afternoon nap.
And creative.
And definitely creative.
So that's why the Googles and the Apples and those creative companies.
Exactly right.
Yes.
So if you are a creative company, the
Yes.
reason you're going to put money into this compared to, say, one of your traditional industries is because you need people to be at their peak all day.
Yeah.
And the ultimate peak of creativity.
And traditionally now the workforce, the employees are working later. So they are going through to 6, maybe 7 in
True.
the evening. So they're starting a bit earlier because of the traffic and trying to get to work. So the 7 or 8 times the start time, right through to 5 or 6 or even later.
Yeah.
So having that pause in the middle of the day to refresh and recharge.
That's it.
Because a lot of people get to that 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon and they're absolutely shattered
Yeah.
because they've gone for 8 or 9 hours without having that break or that pause.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And, think about it as well. Think about our modern world where, we've got a lot of stress in the modern world.
Yes.
Everybody's under a lot of stress. It is a fact that people don't get the best sleep and they don't get the same sleep as our grandparents did. So again, the smart companies know that you've got to just accept that. You can't expect somebody to get more sleep if they haven't got the right sleep environment. They've got young kids.
Yep.
They've got, things happening at home.
Yes.
You can't control that. But what you can do is for the sake of, say, 20 minutes nap during the day, you can have that productivity back on the increase. And the other thing that we know is that from the studies, the results are telling us that people's stress goes down. Which I don't know about you, but to me it kind of makes sense because
It does.
if you think about it, you're stressed, you're busy, you're tired, you're pushing yourself through, you're probably going to have a cup of coffee. Well,
Yes.
instead of a cup of coffee, which is going to hype you up because it's going to get the adrenaline going, the caffeine's going to pump the adrenaline. Instead of doing that, have a little nap, make
Refresh.
yourself feel better, refresh yourself instead of pushing through.
Yeah.
So again, it's great for stress levels. So it's got uber benefits, massive benefits. If you can have a little nap during the day.
But there's a right way and there's a wrong way to nap because of the the sleep patterns. We've got to be careful. So just
Very much
walk
so.
us through the best naps versus a dodgy nap that could end up backfiring.
Right, there are 2 good naps.
2 good
And
naps.
there's one that's not good.
Okay.
Which would you like?
I'd like the 2 good ones, please.
The 2 good ones. All right, so the right way to nap.
Yes.
The ideal is 20 minutes.
Okay.
And the reason for that is in 20 minutes, you're only going to stay in the very light stage of sleep.
Okay.
So you're not going to go into the type of sleep where we dream, and you're not going to go into the type of sleep, that very deep sleep that's actually really hard to wake up from. So we know that deep sleep, it is where your body is at its deepest point, and you are very unresponsive, and if you're woken up, you feel groggy.
Ah, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the sort of sleep where, when you've got the early morning alarm for that early morning flight,
Yes.
and the alarm goes off and you've been in one of those incredibly deep sleeps and you feel groggy.
Yeah.
Your stomach isn't working good. You can't quite, get your bearings. You can't always think about where you are, especially if you're in like a hotel room, 'cause you're traveling. That's your deepest sleep.
Should deep or REM or something.
Well, that's your deep.
Should deep sleep.
That's your
yeah.
deep sleep. Yeah, your REM sleep is when you're dreaming,
Yep.
but your deep is when you're incredibly hard to wake up. You're
Yes.
quite easy to wake up from REM.
Yep.
So we don't want to get into REM sleep, we don't want to get into deep sleep, because when we wake up, quite frankly, we're going to feel shit.
Cool. So I'm gonna lay down into my nap area.
Yep.
I'm gonna set my alarm for 25 minutes.
That's
Give myself
it.
5 minutes to get into light sleep, and then in 20 minutes' time, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna feel refreshed and energized, but I'm not gonna be at the point of going into deep sleep and
I
feel.
would even say just set the alarm for 20 minutes. You
Oh,
don't
wow,
want to set
okay.
it for 25 minutes, because
Right.
I'll include the going to sleep time. So
Okay. I just want extra.
I know you're greedy. You're very
Yes.
greedy, Mike.
Yeah, I am.
You
Yeah,
can't
fair
have
call.
extra. 20 minutes. Set the alarm for 20 minutes.
Okay. Fall asleep quickly.
And if you can, pop maybe a mask on.
Yes.
You're probably not going to be in the sort of environment, especially during the day. You might be
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
You know, a lot of my naps, I'll have a little sun nap.
Yeah.
Or you might be in a light room. So pop a little mask on, just so you've got the right environment for sleep.
Yes.
If it's very noisy, you can always pop some earplugs in.
Yeah.
Just so that your body knows, oh, it's okay, I'm safe to take a rest.
Yes. Yeah, makes
It
sense.
doesn't perceive any danger. So 20 minutes, absolutely ideal. Wake yourself up. You should be able to shake yourself and come around real quick, and then you're going to feel, within a few minutes, you're going to feel great.
Yes. And up and back. into it.
Refreshed, up and back into it straight off.
So any longer than that? So where do we go now? If it's
That's your best
longer
one.
than 20 minutes?
If you're really tired, and
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, if you are sleep deprived and you're trying to top up on your sleep, naps are a good way to do that. 20
Yes.
minutes is good. The other type of nap is beyond 90 minutes, so more than 1.5 hours.
Right.
And the reason for that is that 90 minutes will give you a full cycle of sleep.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Yes,
so
yes.
if you're going to go more than 20 minutes, skip the bit in between
Yes.
and just go right through for an hour and a half, because there you can get a full cycle of sleep
Okay.
in. So you'll go through that light sleep, you'll go through that REM sleep where you do a bit of dreaming, and you'll get into the deep sleep. And then you'll wake up out of the deep sleep cycle feeling good again.
And you'll be closer to your knockoff time.
And you'll be closer to your lunch. Believe me, I had plenty of 90-minute naps, but it's a good
If
job
you
it's
did
a
that
long
every
time
day,
ago.
it'd be a great week. It'd be very productive,
It'd be very-
enthusiastic.
It would go
creative.
super fast.
Awesome.
So those are you two. So 20 minutes, perfect for an everyday nap.
Yep.
90 minutes if you really are dog tired, you're
Yep.
struggling, you've had a bad night, and you need a bit more, go 90 minutes.
Good. So naps are good. There's absolute benefits. A lot of leading companies have researched it
Yep.
and are implementing it.
Yep.
Try and include if you need to. Get it right. Make sure it's the right amount, and enjoy the benefits.
Exactly. And a couple of other things. Don't go for anywhere between 20 and 90, because you're going to be somewhere in those sleep cycles
Yes,
when you wake
it's
up.
going to be.
It's not going to feel nice when
Yes,
you wake up.
yep.
And the second thing is the ideal time between 1 and 3 o'clock.
Yes.
So you might feel a bit snoozy at 10 o'clock in the morning, or you sure have a nap, but between 1 and 3
Is the right
is
time.
the ideal nap time.
All right. Time for a kip.
That time for a kip, I think.